All right, so we got two videos here I wanted to go over super quick on how Phil compares himself to other content creators, and I don't know if it's a good idea to compare yourself to others or not. Normally, I would say you probably should just do your own thing and not compare yourself to other people. Uh, but in Phil's case, maybe he should. But even when he does, as we're gonna see, he just comes up with excuses and thinks he's doing the same thing they're doing when he's not. So,
So I was watching her do that, and then we had already started a playthrough of Dead Space last night. We're watching someone play it, and see, the problem is Dead Space is an older game. So when you try to watch people play Dead Space, you basically have two choices. You can either watch a really old playthrough from back in the day that doesn't look very good or sound very good, and a lot of times it's very primitive. It's before people kind of refined what a Let's Play should be. So a lot of people don't have face cam. A lot of people...
how long was he pointing a freaking camera at his TV to record Let's Plays? He was doing this way after most people switched to direct capture, but he's over here complaining about that. Really?
Direct capture quality isn't that good. You know, Dead Space is a very outdated game at this point. It's 2009, 2008. So very old. Or the other side of that,
jeez.
If you tend to watch a more modern playthrough of Dead Space, it's usually someone who's like, oh god, they do all the shit. They check every box and do every meme and do everything to be a popular YouTuber. You know, every possible. They're using this stupid.
So they do everything you do then.
What up, dog? I'm here to play Dead Space, bro. Oh no, get off me! It's like, oh my god.
Oh my god, so
obnoxious
annoying.
Commentary, obnoxious music, screaming. Oh, they're coming at me! Oh, screaming. It's like, oh my god. We went through, like, I'm not even kidding, like 3 different people playing Dead Space, and finally we kind of gave up. Like, we're watching it, but we kind of gave up on finding someone who, like, acts normal.
So how much of a cuck are you when your wife just outright refuses to watch any of your content, Phil? She absolutely refuses to watch any of your streams, any of your Let's Plays, and you've even said in the past that, like, she doesn't know, like, the games you're playing or what you mention in them because she doesn't watch your stuff. And you're over here complaining that other people are successful at it, and yes, maybe doing some of the things that most people do to get successful in that. Is that any worse than you not paying attention, disinterested in it, not even really paying attention to your chat, on your phone half the time, or just acting like super blasé and laughing and making jokes when it's supposed to be a tense situation? Is that any better?
Like, the person we're watching, and by the way, of course, I'm not going to call out who they are.
No, of course he's not. He's too much of a pussy to do that.
Dead white. The guy is, like, whiter than me. He's paler and whiter.
I kind of doubt that's even possible.
Like he grew up in the fucking ghetto.
Your paper's like, your skin is paper thin, Phil.
Playthrough for exactly. Like, we know you don't talk like this. You're like the ultimate poser. I'm laughing because I'm like, every time he does commentary, I'm like, I just want to, like, slap the guy because he thinks he's like
a normal person. If you're watching something and you don't like it, you would just switch the channel or change to a different YouTube channel and find someone else. You wouldn't sit here and go on and complain about someone you don't even know like this. But he's trying to justify it.
A hard dude from the streets. It's like, dude, I could tell that you grew up, like, with your parents and they fucking probably paid your way. You probably, like, have a
projection much.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you probably live in San Fernando Valley. You know, your commentary.
Your parents paid for your college, Phil. Like, you are the definition of white privilege. What are you talking about?
It's ridiculous. You know, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
And that's how they act. Like, that's seriously how they act online, because they're trying to put up this persona to appeal to a wider audience on the internet. And apparently it works because some of these people are very popular doing this kind of shit. It's hilarious watching it, you know. And the
More popular than you will ever be.
Several years ago, so it doesn't. Again, it still doesn't have every element, but still, it's just laughable. It's like what I'm noticing.
Obviously, they are entertaining, and their audience likes and enjoys that, and so they rise up in popularity. And they probably don't treat their chat like a total assholes like you do.
Okay, what I'm definitely noticing, the more that we've watched other content creators do Let's Plays, is that all the criticism that I've got over the years usually was completely unfair. All right, and I'm not saying that I'm the best Let's Player out there. I'm definitely not. But the point is, over the years, everyone always gave me shit. Always gave me shit for my style of commentary, my style of gameplay. Here's what I'm noticing. The vast majority of Let's Players out there are actually just as good or slightly worse than me at the games they play. I'm serious. If they're playing a game for the first time, they're usually doing worse than me. Yeah, everyone always says I'm one of the worst gamers out there. Then you don't watch other Let's Players who are popular. You're just an asshole who makes fun of me and doesn't focus on everyone else out there. They suck. I told you, we're watching God of War. Some guy
I can be good at games if I want to.
Like 10 times. He had to edit it out. It's like, geez.
Yeah, he edited it out. He didn't just put the whole raw freaking stream up on YouTube. He actually edited it to make it watchable and viewable for his fans, something you don't do.
And these are the popular Let's Players out there. You know what I'm saying? Awful commentary. I'm talking cringe-worthy commentary. Them faking, you know, these affectations in their voice, over-exaggerating all the time, using lingo you know they don't use in their normal lives to try to appeal to a youthful audience on YouTube. Every single video has the stupid face on it on the thumbnail.
What do you call your early commentary, Phil, when every other joke was some sexual joke about dicks, or even now you still talk about shit and poop and fucking shitting drawers and all this bullshit about scat and poop. And before your commentary is all about tits and dicks and shit. How is that any different? You were still appealing to a younger audience then, weren't you?
You know, every possible thing.
And you still blow bubbles and shit for your audience. But you're over here claiming that your audience is like full of like from like 20 to 40 year olds or something like that. 20 to 40 year olds don't really want you to blow freaking bubbles and shit like that. You know that, right? Dent heads do. Like, people who are mentally challenged and don't know any better, they might.
Impossible. They all do the...
And that's your audience.
But I was the one who everyone crapped on over the years. I was never good enough. My camera quality wasn't good enough. My face cam wasn't good enough.
It wasn't. It still isn't.
My commentary was terrible. My gameplay was terrible. And I watch these
other
content creators now. I mean, I've been watching playthroughs back as far as like 2015.
2015? Weren't you saying recently you don't watch any content creators, though? Like, I remember multiple times him saying, oh, I don't really watch other people play games online. And now he's over here contradicting himself and saying he does. Since 2015.
All the way through up to now, I'm sorry, they're either on par with me or they're fucking worse. But everyone shits on Darkside Phil because I was the memeable guy to shit on.
People shit. I'm going to get into this a little bit later on in the video, but quick hint. People don't shit on you because of how bad your gameplay is. It's because of you and how bad of a person you are. Not because of your content. Although your content is boring as fuck.
If you objectively look at the shit they put out versus me, I'm sorry, I don't see how you can objectively say that they were always definitively better, and that's why, oh, they're so much popular than Darkside Phil. Here's what. It's bullshit. It's because people just shat on me and made me the memeable guy to crap on YouTube. That's why I
Victim segments.
Remember, I was popular before any of them. It wasn't until This Is How You Don't
Yeah,
Play Them.
you were popular because you got in on the ground floor.
I'm not saying I'm the best Let's Player out there.
That's what he's trying to say, yes.
Yeah, I'm a slow-moving guy when it comes to change and improvement. That's a lot of the reason why I lost some of my audience, okay?
Most of your audience.
But at the same time, the shit that I get thrown at me and the dumb criticisms I get are just that. Like, people saying I'm not good at games, and I swear to God the people who I watch are way worse. In case in point, so we started watching one guy play Dead Space, but his playthrough, he'd already played the game before. So he's like, okay, so here we go. And he's like, I'm not even kidding. And he didn't even title it like speed run. The dude is like speed running the game. He's like, watch this. Zoo, 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 zoo. So he knows everything about the game. He already knows the plot. He already knows how to play it perfectly. And he's just like turboing through the game at maximum speed. Like, but he didn't even title it that. He said it was like a legit playthrough. It's not.
So is that better or worse that what you do when you take a game that should be beaten in like maybe 15 hours and you drag it out to be like 50 hours long because you're pausing every other second because one of your fans baits you into a fucking hour-long segment on this or something? Because you drag out games twice, sometimes 3 times as long as they should be. So you got 2 different ends of the spectrum. You got the guy who's like zooming by and at least showing off his skill or whatever and making it entertaining and kind of fast so you're not sitting there forever, probably doing some editing and stuff. Or you who does no editing whatsoever, uploads the whole thing raw dog to YouTube, and then on top of that you drag it out like so long because you spend like 3 hours, 4 hours a day on your quote-unquote podcast, and we're getting to a video on that later on. But yeah, it's bullshit. So it's like, you gotta pick your poison here, right?
Go to watch it, it's like this guy is just like kind of rushing the game. How is this entertaining? Again, maybe if you had titled it Speed Run, you'd be like, okay, this guy's really good at it, or he's turbo. It's not entertaining to watch.
Maybe you should call your playthrough slow plays, Phil.
Or if he does react, you can tell it's a fake reaction because he's already played it before. So he's overreacting to try to get a reaction out of his audience. But, I mean, I could just sit here and tell you a million times, seriously, how I'm now watching all this other content. Because it's hilarious how over the years everyone said, do you watch other content creators? And I'm like, no, I don't. I just stay here in my lane and I do my own stuff. Now I'm actually watching the other
No. You just lied to your audience then. Because you would say, people were asking you that after 2015, and you still said, no, you don't. So you're just outright admitting that you have lied to your audience and to everyone again. You are a compulsive liar. You lie all the time about meaningless shit. Oh, to protect your family, to protect your image? No, you're just lying all the time. And you can't help it anymore because you don't even know when you are lying or not. So it's just another instance of you lying.
Content creators. And what I'm realizing is they ain't got shit. They're virally popular for various dumb reasons, whether it's memes, whether it's literally just because they checked every box of the
this is just jealousy
on YouTube or Twitch fucking algorithm. It's nothing to do with the content. It's not. It's ridiculous.
Well, then maybe you should check that same checklist so you wouldn't have to beg to the same 4 or 5 fans over and over again to have them fork out money. Or make a separate React channel to double dip and even try to get more money out of them. So then at least you're earning your income that way and not begging for money.
Ridiculous. You know, me, I was the one who was the popular guy until it became...
You are so far in the past, you can't even see the present anymore, can you, Phil? Yeah, you were popular at one point for, like, you had your 15 minutes of fame, and it wasn't even 15 minutes, it was more like 5 minutes. And that was only because you got in on the ground floor of YouTube when it was just starting out. And back then, the technology, no one really had direct capture, so you were on par with everyone. But really soon after that, everyone else started getting better. They improved their commentary. They actually interacted with their chat. They didn't treat the chat like assholes, and most importantly, they got direct capture and really good cameras and stuff like that. And they made the background actually look good instead of this crap that you have thrown in the background willy-nilly like that. So yeah, you were popular for a second. It's gone now, and you didn't retain any of your audience from it because they moved on. Because they're sick of being abused by you. And that's the main thing you are not understanding is how much of an abusive piece of shit you are to your supposed fans. These are people who actively take time out of their day to come to watch you for God knows what reason. And you still berate them and yell at them and ban them because they have to walk on eggshells around you. They can't even be themselves and relax and unwind. And on top of that, you got to make your problems their problems. They got to worry about how you pay the bills or all your bills coming up, and you have this big bill and your taxes and all this stuff. And I'm like, they just want to like enjoy watching something from you, and you're putting all this pressure on them and everything. And that's why you're a bleeding people. You are not ever going to be popular again like that.
Or shit on Phil because of the memes, you know? But you know what? I'm happy that I'm still here and I have the audience that I have. I know I'm never going to get back to being mainstream popular because the thing is,
you're right.
Something popular happens involving me, immediately.
It's because of the way you act. It's your personality.
Well, can never see him in a positive light ever again, right? And that's YouTube life, I guess. That's how YouTube operates their business, which is really fucked up. No, there shouldn't be mass.
Oh, now it's YouTube's fault.
Available, but it is. You know, there's really no recourse.
It's not the detractors' fault. It's not. It's your fault. If you were actually entertaining, then you would still rise above what detractors say about you.
Which obviously I'm not going to do. I'm just going to be happy with what I am. I can still do business today. I can still maintain it. I'm still happy with the audience that I have, and at least we can have a great time together on a daily basis.
You're dwindling audience.
The white noise outside. All right. I'm just speaking from a perspective now where now I'm actually starting to watch other people play games. I'm like, holy shit, my God.
Again, lying, because you said you were watching people play games since 2015.
I can't believe people gave me shit over the years when this is what people are watching. You know, everyone we're watching essentially has 1 million or more subs on YouTube. And they're way worse than me.
Wow, this is just jealousy, man.
So many different ways. Oh, I got a super chat from Leviathan. It says, my English isn't the best. Can you explain what urban lingo means? Urban lingo basically means certain kinds of mannerisms and or phrases or dialect that appeals to a certain kind of demographic. You know, and dog, bro, yo. You know, talking like that is basically this.
Let's hear the racist explain urban lingo.
Slang that is trying to appeal to a more youthful viewership. All right? And it's hilarious when someone uses it, because when they use it, you can tell if it's someone who actually has used it their whole life because they live with people who talk like that. It's part of their culture. Or if it's a poser. You can tell within a minute if someone's a poser or not. If someone who's just trying to interject that kind of language into what they say to try to get more viewers on YouTube. It's like, it sticks out like a sore fucking thumb how bad it is when someone's a faker or a poser. And I'm not against the usage of said language. Fine, use it. But make it real. Be real to yourself. Be true to yourself. Don't be some fucking character looking like an idiot.
Don't culturally appropriate my language, bro.
You know what's funny is, again, here's what I'm going to say, guys. I'm just going to say something publicly and up front, all right? A lot of the ridiculous criticisms that I get are for things that literally every other popular content creator does, all right? For example, and by the way, Gaming Guru, I don't want you to feel like I'm singling you out and saying that you're saying something dumb, because actually what you just said in chat is something that a lot of people said over the week. But allow me to explain. He basically says, so let me get this straight. He's going to do a 4-hour react tomorrow, but he's going to stretch it out into 20-minute parts. He's only going to upload once a day. Ha, ha, ha. Like, you think it's funny. Like, that's stupid. That's literally what everyone does.
Literally.
I'm serious. Go watch guys like Moist Critical. Go watch others. They have, like, a react stream they do. They watch all this react content, and then it gets clipped up, and it gets uploaded into separate parts over the course of the week. That's how everyone does it.
All the better to cheat the algorithm as well as get more ad revenue, right, Phil? Doesn't matter how short that video is, as long as you can get the ad revenue from it, that's all that matters.
But when I do it, oh, that's a horrible idea. Why are you doing it that way? Right? But if someone else does it, that's big. Oh, that's great. That's the best thing. I'm so happy you're doing it that way. But when I do it, oh, that's terrible, right? So what are you talking about? Right? Like, what on earth are you talking about? Like, why is it okay for them but not for me? It doesn't make sense, right? Your criticism...
Can you provide examples? Oh, yeah, you said Moist Critical. Yes, sometimes he does that. Can you provide someone else? Do all the reaction people do that? Because I watch a lot of detractors who react to your bullcrap on a daily basis. I also watch Sinatra Says a lot on Amberlynn and Foodie Booty, and they just upload their streams. They have big chunks of video, and I like watching larger videos. Because I like having white noise on in the background. So I'll watch like a 2 or 3 hour stream about just people dunking on your stupid ass all the time in the background while I'm doing other things. But you're over here just splitting everything up so you can get as much money as possible. And then what, you're going to post it on the React channel as well as over here or something? You're just going to try to get as much money as possible. That's all you're doing. And then you're making the straw man argument that everyone else does it, so why can't I do it? And the bottom line is you can do it. It is your channel. You can do whatever you want. But don't bitch about, oh, everyone else does it. I'm like, just do whatever the fuck you're going to do about it, you know?
Fair. And what I've noticed, increasingly, what I'll tell you this, everyone says to me...
But he never does anything wrong.
No, I don't. Now, actually, in the last year and a half, I started to pay attention to my contemporaries. I start looking at channels that are double...
Oh, but now it's just in the past year and a half. When the last video, he was saying he was watching other people do Let's Plays and stuff since 2015. So which is it, Phil?
Quintuple my size. In some cases, 100 times my size. And I see the things they do. And in some cases, I hate to say it, you know, not even as good as what I do. I watch someone. I'm not shitting you. This is not me trying to make fun of this person. There is someone who literally probably makes 4...
Good question, Trace Max, actually. We're going to eventually get in a video about how sensitive he is to mature topics in games. But that's for another video.
4 times as much as I do on YouTube. Has a giant community.
Even though he's a dent too.
Turned on their stream, they fucked it up somehow. There's a technical difficulty here. There's a problem there. There's one person who insists on playing every game on PC, but every time they play a game, the game crashes. It doesn't even matter what game it is. And now
he's dunking on other people for having technical issues. This guy who's been doing this for 15 years or so hasn't even figured out how to get proper direct capture because he has this old outdated... Okay, sorry. He has this extremely old outdated PC that he streams from, right? He has an old capture card that's not the best of the line. It's not Elgato. It's some janky third name brand, right? That broke because his cat sat on it because he didn't put it in the proper space. So he had to beg for one of his fans to send him another one. And all this could be solved if he just updated his operating system to Windows 10 at least. If not Windows 11. Hell, he could stream from his newer laptop that a fan sent him a year or two ago. And it would be better, because that has Windows 10. And then you can get a better capture card, because the capture card he's using, the one that died and the one that a fan sent him, those are all pretty bad quality. It's like really blurry. Even for supposedly being 1080p, it's still pretty blurry quality. It's not the best, right? It's still really bad. And then you got this webcam. It supposedly was an upgrade from your old webcam, but it still looks really terrible. It's really blurry. And on top of that, you spent, 45 minutes to an hour setting up these lights there? It was like almost a whole stream to set up these really crappy LED lights behind you. And you did it on stream? But you're over here complaining that other people have technical issues, like you're immune from technical issues. Phil, you are the king of technical issues. You pause your... Half of your streams aren't even gameplay at this point. Because, oh yeah, you got the podcast, which isn't a podcast, which, again, I'm going to talk about in a different video. But it's not a podcast. Anyway, and then on top of that, half the time you're pausing the game anyway to talk about this or that or go on some freaking rant. Or because one of your heads asks, what you had for dinner, Phil? And your quality is not good at all. And like, I'm not one to talk because I just started learning about OBS, right? I don't have a webcam. I'm just learning how to do OBS, so it's kind of really raw. I'm not the best at video editing. Like I basically just literally just use Movie Maker to try to clip stuff together and put it in the right order. But that's kind of it. So I'm learning myself, but at least I'm learning. I'm trying to do something. You have been doing YouTube for like what? Like I said, like what, 12, 15 years or something? You barely have any like scene selections. You don't know how to transition from one scene to another scene. I've seen detractors that like have this all set up, have it really smooth transitions, have different chats out. It looks really cool. Most of them even have doing these like VTube models and everything. Very technological stuff, and they haven't been doing YouTube for half as long as you have, Phil. What is your excuse? You're over here bitching at other people doing this and having technical issues when they are having less technical issues than you do and haven't been doing YouTube for as long as you do. But it's okay when he does it, because it's not my fault that my cat sat on my capture device and it didn't work. So I'm just gonna film me doing a Q&A or something. That's any better than the shit that he's criticizing other people for?
His audience is, why are you still playing on PC when it's so inconsistent? And he insists on playing on PC no matter what. I must play these games on PC. It's the best experience. Literally every time this guy streams, his stream crashes because his fucking PC crashes. But he keeps doing it, you know?
And now he's just shitting on PC again.
At my content, all right? And tell me, is it consistent?
No, it's not. It's not.
Right? And have I not kind of gotten this down to a science?
Not at all. What are you talking about? Well, we've gotten it down to a science. You figured out the most laziest way possible to stream with the lowest tech equipment you have, not willing to put any work or effort into it. And hey, as long as it turns on and as long as you can see and hear me, that's all that's needed. I'm not going to try for anything better or have any kind of inspiration to do anything better than that. And that's it. Hey, I did the bare minimum with the least amount of effort and it works. So now I'm just going to ride this out all the way until something breaks and then it forces me to upgrade, because that's the only way I'm ever going to upgrade. But I'll have all these membership goals supposedly to help improve my streams and everything. But that money isn't going to improving my streams, is it, Phil? It's going to Scopely. It's going to WW Champions.
I will be here today at this time streaming, and you can expect this game or whatever, and it happens, correct?
That's your autistic schedule that you vehemently adhere to. Okay? That is why. You have this schedule in your mind, and you stick to it so rigidly. And on top of that, most people who stream don't do it for a living. They have other things in life that gets in the way. They actually have jobs they go to. They actually have families, and real families with actual kids. Not just a cat and a wife that doesn't care about him. No, they actually have real life families. Sometimes family events are planned. They can't stream every single day at this particular time because they actually have a life. They have things going on in their life. You have no life, no friends. You never go outside of the house. You have no job. So you have nothing else to do in life except to stream. That's why you can so rigidly adhere to your autistic schedule, is because of that. Everyone else, a lot of people who do stream, do it as a hobby and don't do it as a job unless they're really good at it. And even then, when they're really good and actually do it for a job, they still do it way better than you do it. But yeah, it's because you have no life. That's why you're so able to easily adhere to your own schedule that you made up in your mind that works for you. And I get that, because I think I'm pretty sure I'm on the spectrum too, just like as like higher functioning Asperger's. But still, I get that having a schedule works for people on the spectrum or whatever, and that's why I think he adheres to it so strictly, because he would just fall apart without having that schedule to adhere to.
A lot of these content creators, they're inconsistent.
Because they have jobs, they have family.
Here's another big one, and this one I've absolutely got to call out, because this one actually irks me a lot, and I want to get this one off my chest.
Oh, this should be good.
Okay, you ready? This one, everyone prepare. I'm actually going to, is this it here? Hold on.
Oh, this should be good.
I got to find it. Here it is. Okay.
Oh, Lord.
I'm going to yell a little bit.
And look how lazy he is. He didn't even crop this. You could easily crop this down.
Please give me the benefit of the doubt.
He just throws it up on there willy-nilly. He, look how long it took him just to bring up one picture on there like that.
By the way, there's a garbage truck outside making a lot of noise as I'm about to start this. Now I feel like I'm playing Atomic Heart. I'm about to say something critical and important, but there's atmospheric noise drowning me out and you can't hear me. Because the fucking truck is outside.
You're not going to say anything important anyway, Phil. Don't worry about it.
Okay. All right, the truck is driving away now. Okay, so here's the deal. For many years, especially since I became a full-time streamer and content creator,
I'm better than everyone else. I do things the right way.
Right? And we would do what was used to be called the pre-stream. Now it's a podcast. It's actually the level 1 podcast. Now
it is not a podcast.
The podcast runs from 10:45 a.m. to 12:30. It ends, and then we have gameplay after. Everyone knows their segments now. But back in the day, I didn't have that. It was just pre-stream. And it would be me talking with you guys about various topics, important topics. I'd be answering your questions and all. And there was always an element of people.
So why don't you make a whole another channel for your podcast, quote-unquote podcast, or put your podcast up on, Spotify, that's it. Sorry, I don't really use Spotify that much. Why don't you put your podcast up on Spotify or iTunes or whatever, and do that instead then, if it's such a real podcast, quote-unquote, right? No, it's just I get that. I like talking too. So, fine, whatever. You like talking. Because it's clear at this point you don't like playing video games anymore. You're trying to branch out. You have the React channel. You have your podcast, whatever. And you split up. If you want to call it a podcast, fine, call it a podcast. Usually podcasts have, guests. And, each podcast episode, there'll be, a unifying topic. Not just you randomly talking about whatever the fuck you feel like at the time. But no, it's still just a pre-stream.
Who complained about this, okay? And said...
People still do complain about it.
All I want you to do is turn on the stream and immediately start playing the game. All right? That's what I want, okay? And I said, well, I don't understand. Shouldn't we get these topics out of the way?
No one is relying on you for the news of the day. If you rely on Phil for any of your daily information, you are uneducated, because the information that he feeds you is incorrect. So, God forbid you actually take him seriously and actually believe the news that he spews out. You're going to be vastly incorrect on every single thing that he feeds you. Right? You are not a news channel. I don't know why you keep insisting on talking about the game of the news. Your opinions are ass backwards on almost every single topic you bring up. So it's oh God, no, I can't survive the day without listening to Phil and what he thinks on this topic. That's not the case, Phil.
If we're going to play the game, don't you want me to just see me play the game? And also keep in mind that I am creating content for 2 different audiences. Yes, there's a live streaming audience right here, but also there's an on-demand audience. The on-demand audience who's tuning in, I want to see Atomic Heart. Do you think when I first start playing Atomic Heart today, the first thing they want is 25 minutes of me talking to the audience and not playing the game because people are throwing questions at me now? Right? You
still pause your gameplay to answer questions all the time anyway. Do you separate your random-ass Q&As that occur at the end of slow streams? Because half the time, when it's a slow stream, you'll just stop early and answer a bunch of questions. Do you separate those two? No, you don't.
So, I've always done it, that there's a pre-stream, now it's a podcast, and then we get to the gameplay. All right? I shit you not. Every fucking person who I've watched, who's a streamer, who plays games, literally turns on their stream and bullshits with their audience for a good 30 to 45 minutes.
Not that long, usually. And you know why they're doing that, Phil? They usually do that to allow their fans to filter in. Because they set up the notification, they start their streams, and usually not all their fans are going to see the notification that their stream just went live. So they'll just talk to your audience for probably around 20, maybe 30 minutes at most, if from the streamers I've seen. They'll usually either have music playing, or they're just like, hey, how you doing? Hey, big up so-and-so, or whatever. They're actually interacting with their audience, or with their people that are there, while they wait for their fans to see the notification that they went live to filter in, and then they'll start playing. Because they want their fans to not miss anything if they were keeping up with other playthroughs or whatever. You just talk about bullshit, and if it's a new, God forbid, it's like the beginning stream to a new game that you're playing, because then you gotta give your audience the entire history of you as a kid playing this game series that you really like, and no one cares about your history with this game series or something like that. But you'll talk about that. Oh, I remember when I was playing the second installment of this game, and it was really funny, so hopefully you don't have that. No one cares about that. They really don't. And at the same time, it's like you're not even really interacting with your audience. It's like you're just sitting there spewing quote-unquote facts that you've just seen the headlines or titles of on Twitter, and you're just regurgitating that back to people without actually reading the full story of those to understand the actual meaning. So you're just regurgitating headlines that you see on Twitter as quote-unquote facts. Oh, I can't forget the actual what I did on my day off segment. That's always a classic, isn't it? Oh, on my days off, me and Kat ordered out food again. Wasted all this money from DoorDash when I could have gone and picked up her prescription or her food here and there. But I'm too lazy to actually get out of the house, go in my car, and go pick up stuff. Yeah, that's what most people talk about, isn't it, Phil? I don't think so. Most people actually talk to their audience or play music or both.
It's not even an exaggeration. They all do it.
And not for that long. Your podcast, quote-unquote podcast, usually lasts around an hour and a half. Maybe sometimes even 2 hours. I've never seen anyone go that long before gameplay like this, like you're talking. Unless they're actually doing an actual podcast. But most people who do a podcast don't do it every single day. Because usually they're worn out of topics and things to say. Which is clear that's what you do. Because you run out of things to say all the time. So you just regurgitate what's in the news. Or open it up to Q&A. I've seen quote-unquote podcast of his was well, I have nothing else to talk about, so I'm just going to open it up to Q&A instead of just starting the game. And this was at least an hour in, if not longer. I'm like, why don't you just start the game then? No, he autistically knows that his pre-streams or podcasts or whatever have to last a certain length. And God forbid they end earlier than that. No, then I'll have to open it up to Q&A. Because I want to stall for as much time as possible before I actually have to play these games that I have no entertainment value from anymore. Because it's clear he doesn't like playing games anymore. So he's doing everything he can possibly do to draw out and stall playing games.
They just sit there, they talk with their audience. Some of them have a drink or a smoke. Some of them are actually talking or going through emails. They're going through posts that are coming up. There's super chats or bits coming in. They're shouting everyone out. That's literally what they all do.
And that's not what you do.
Their social time to hang out with their audience before they get to the.
That's still not what you do, though.
That's literally what I've always done. And everyone gave me shit for it. To the point where I had to rebrand it as a podcast.
Yeah, Sup Pimps. Didn't you just say you didn't watch other streamers? So which one is it?
Everyone else does it. Every fucking person. So, all those years, people treated me like shit. Saying, Phil, your content's bad because you don't get right to the game and all we want is the game. And then come to find out that's literally what every fucking big content creator does. You guys, I'm not saying you because that's very unfair. Not everyone. But there's been a very vocal critical, negative, toxic element to the people who criticize me over the years, right? And I hate to say it, it's just unfair. It's completely
Yes, anyone who criticizes me are negative, toxic, and wrong, and you're lying because you criticize me. And God forbid you criticize me about anything because I can't own up to anything. So you're all wrong, and I'm the winner. And yeah.
It's unfair that I get that kind of treatment when everyone else
So unfair.
does something. It's okay for them. But for me, because I want to talk with my audience or whatever, that's not acceptable.
You want to stall,
I
Phil.
want to speak with my audience and get topics out of the way.
Topics that no one asked for. Your audience didn't ask for these quote-unquote topics. And the topics that you talk about are wrong anyway. Because you don't read the full story on those topics. Like I said, you just browse the headlines. You browse the titles and what's trending on Twitter.
To the meat of the gameplay. How dare Phil? Because, no, here's what it is. I have hate watchers. There's people out there who literally just don't like me and they hate my guts. So what they will do is just criticize everything I do, no matter what I do, even if it's something that's a common practice from other content creators. It's very successful. If I try to follow along with that, it's wrong because Phil's doing it. But everyone else can do it and it's fun. When Phil does it, it's completely wrong.
They do it differently than you do it.
No matter what I do, it's not good enough. All right? So here's what I've learned. Now, see, people over the years, they made a mistake. They always said, Phil, you should watch other content creators. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. Now I've actually started for about a year I've been doing it. And now I can tell you.
Oh, now it's about a year. Again, for the third time, this video. He said he was watching people from 2015. We all heard that. So which one is it? You are lying again, Phil.
Yeah, I can see how unfair I have been fucking treated.
So how could anyone trust you in anything you say if you're constantly lying to us over and over again? So why would anyone need to hear your opinions on different topics or whatever when you're just lying to us all the time?
Content creator, all right? It's not fair that I get treated like shit. So I'm not putting up with that shit anymore. So Gaming Guru, when I see you're laughing, let me get this straight, he's going to do a 3-hour react stream, but he's just going to put out 20-minute clips of it all week? Yes, because that's literally the feedback I received from the audience on DSP Reacts, and that's literally what every fucking person does on the internet.
The 4 people that are subscribed to DSP Reacts?
Straight reacting. That's too much. You want to have little digestible clips and snippets, and that's what this is aiming to be. Now, let's have a 20-minute segment where maybe I cover 2 big videos, and it's funny to watch, and then you can move on, and then the next day you get something new, right?
So he still hasn't learned anything from when back in the day he would flood his subscribers' subscription box with 8 and 10-minute videos, and he would upload maybe 8 to 10, maybe even 12 videos a day, and they were all only 8 to 10 minutes, and all his subscribers would complain and unsubscribe because their subscription box on YouTube would be constantly full of just over-inundation of his videos. And people would complain all the time to him, and he would complain. It's like, I have to do it this way. But again, it all falls back into the fact that he is just trying to get as much money as possible through ad revenue on YouTube by doing this. Because people were complaining even back then that he was making too many short videos and to make them longer, and he never did it, and he's still doing it to this day. And he didn't learn the fact that he lost a lot of subscribers by doing that back then.
So I'm not.
And then he wonders why his channel is dying.
When I see that shit, I'm like, you know what? That's unfair, and I'm gonna call you out for it. And by the way, the only reason I'm saying this to you, Gaming Guru, is because you happen to say it. There's been many other people who say shit like that. There's been comments on my videos saying the same thing. I'm not. I can't accept unfair criticism. There's a difference between, here's some constructive criticism where if you think about it for a second, that will help, versus, let's go ahead.
But you never actually accept constructive criticism, Phil. You turn any sort of actual constructive criticism into a negativity or some straw man and negate it and be like, no, that's not accurate, so I'm not going to listen to this actual constructive criticism because so-and-so does it, and you deflect and you don't actually consider it as an option. So you never actually respond to any actual constructive criticism Because to you, nothing is constructive criticism. It's all negativity. It's all hateful.
Everything Phil does, it says everything is bad, and no.
I can't think of one example where he was giving actual constructive criticism and actually admitted it was a good constructive criticism and actually did something about it. Can you please in the comments let me know if that is the case, because I don't remember any of that.
Shit anymore. You guys made the big mistake, because now I actually have seen bigger content creators than me.
The big mistake, even though I've been watching
to do this shit.
Content creators since 2015.
I had the pre-stream, or and people, oh, how dare you have a pre-stream? Literally everyone has a fucking pre-stream. They all do it because they feel the same as me. They want to get topics out of the way and move on to the constructive gameplay.
No one feels the same way you do, Phil. You're like an alien pretending to be human here.
Okay, so I'm happy about that. That now I've kind of been vindicated after watching.
Vindicated. Only in your own mind, Phil. No one else agrees to that.
Now I know. Now I know that I've been treated like shit, and I'm not done being treated like shit, quite frankly.
You're treated like shit because you treat other people like shit. That's why you're in this position.
I'm not listening. You want to give me constructive criticism? I am all ears. In fact, thank you to those on DSP Reacts in the last 2 weeks who've given me direct vocal criticism and said, hey, do this, and I'm implementing those things, and I'm telling you.
Have you actually, or are you just saying this? Because I haven't seen any of that.
Between that and, oh, it's just shit no matter what. No. You want to know what shit? Your shit. Anyone who just wants to crap on something.
There's that black and white thinking.
You're the one who's the problem in the room.
And now we're back to scat and shit fetish.
Things or whatever, There you go. It's bullshit. Gaming Guru, don't take it negatively. I'm not trying to crap on you.
Aw, you hurt his feelings, Phil. You told me to go die, Phil.
Because I'm glad that you said it, because it allowed me to get this off my chest, okay? It's not just you. I'm not trying to single you out or anything. I don't want to make you feel bad. You're fine. It's a valid thing to say. It needed to be addressed. Thank you for letting me address it. Okay.
Well, that's it for now.